What's up again, everybody? How's it going today? Well, it's been about 1 month since I made a video about the Wuhan coronavirus, aka COVID-19. And I'd like to touch base on some of the facts about this virus, but more some of the fear-mongering that surrounds this virus. In the video I made about a month ago, I said, will it become a pandemic? Who knows? And I made it clear that I'm not spreading fear, I'm not worried about getting sick and dying myself, but I'm well aware of the impact on the economy. And I'll be honest, there's secretly a part of me who kind of revels in this sort of a pandemic, not for the sake of anyone being hurt or sick, but for the sake of people waking the hell up to the fact that our system is very sensitive to anything that can happen. And tomorrow, the power might go out in a region, a major earthquake, tsunamis, anything can happen, and they do. And generally it impacts local economies. But we can just go about our lives and generally ignore it. In Wuhan right now, the entire city is locked down. I mean, you're talking about 50 million people in areas of China on lockdown, and people being barred into their homes. And so a few weeks ago I made a video, and I came home, and I had just got home from buying a few of these masks from the local store, Fred Meyer here. And I said, you know, these masks are more or less, you know, they're not going to help you. They're not going to keep you from getting sick. These are N95, which means they keep out 95% of the particulates. And I bought these because if I have to go shopping or something during the outbreak, then I can go shopping and at least protect myself somewhat. But then there's the other masks, these kinds of surgical masks, which I saw people lining up for in China. Seriously, 2 blocks long, thick lines waiting just to buy these. These do not protect you from getting the virus. And the fact that all these people were standing in line to get them, with other people, it's just blew my mind. This is a piece of cloth with a rubber band on it, okay? And so what I wanted to touch base on this issue was to say you can make your own, because right now every single store is sold out of masks. So if you're really desperate to get a mask, you can easily make your own. If you want me to do, there was somebody in China did this. I think it was the National Health, you know, whatever in China. They published this thing about how to make them out of paper towels and toilet paper. And basically, it's this, okay? Such a simple concept, right? You got a paper towel. This one's folded in half, and then inside it has a piece of tissue paper. Then the edges are wrapped in tape, and all you have to do is put rubber bands on the edge, and boom. Got a mask, right? Well, I invented one myself that has and I haven't, this is just the first prototype here, but it's basically a paper clip in the nose piece, which allows you to fit it over the nose. And I was going to do a little how-to video. Seems completely pointless. It's not to stop people from getting sick, but rather to ease people's fears, because if everybody's paranoid about getting masks, you know, your biggest friend right now will be washing your damn hands. This is just standard hand sanitizer, and in a lot of places this is sold out too. I got up this morning, just like I did that night, and went down and bought those masks on a whim. I thought I'd better go because they're selling out. So I bought the masks I needed. I went to get some yesterday, and they were sold out everywhere. Every pharmacy, every store, every single shop, not a single mask. Not just that, but they'd sold out every respirator, sanding mask, the expensive ones. And the most disgusting thing, this is what just really chaps my hide. People are selling these masks right here on eBay for $100 a piece. I guess there was one guy selling a 10-pack for $5,000. Do not be an idiot and buy these masks. These are nothing but cloth. If you can pay $3 for one, that's fine. Have it on hand just in case you need it. But the amount of the people who take advantage of fear are some of the most pathetic people in the world. It's something I just would not do. You know, as an herb vendor, and one who, I actually had a blend that I made that was considered to be for viruses, or the anti-flu blend. I haven't promoted it because I don't want to be that guy who's sitting here saying, ooh, I have medicine that can save you. There are no medicines that can save you. There are plenty of scam artists out there trying to sell you bullshit. And if you want to know that, besides the basics with hand sanitizer, you can go down and you can buy some alcohol and medicine, whatever you might need in case you do get sick. But these 2 bottles right here, they're just little portable, lockable spray bottles. They have a little lock on them so you can put them in your purse or bag. This one right here has alcohol and water, and you can just spray your hands with it. And this one right here has my favorite antiviral, antibacterial, which is tea tree oil. Now, a lot of you, I'm sure most of you have heard of tea tree oil. It's also sold under the brand name Melaleuca because the tree is Melaleuca alternifolia. But tea tree oil was carried by Australian soldiers in World War II as part of their medical kit. It was considered the ultimate antiseptic. And today, now we have all these chemicals that we can just dump on our body, and that's fine, so be it. But tea tree oil is still one of the best antivirals, antibacterials. And it should not be taken internally, but sprayed and diluted, I think it's great. Just sprayed doorknobs and whatnot. It has a certain smell that a lot of people don't like, but I've always used it and I think it's phenomenal. And then we've got your basic hand wipes and stuff like that. And of course, a giant gas mask I got when I worked at a place that distributed clean room supplies to computer companies. And it's a little MSA silicone mask, but I need the cartridges for it. None of that really matters. Here's the thing. What's going on in the US is going to be most people's concern right now. Not what masks you can get. This right here, it's a handkerchief, okay? If you really need a mask, you can just put a handkerchief on. Because really what you're just trying to do is stop aerosols and droplets from getting into your mouth, right? And I just wanted to get that part, aside, because masks seem to be a huge concern. People need to be more aware of paying attention to what's going on in your area, taking your kids out of school if you have an outbreak. We have 12 people in Clark County where I live under observation right now because they have been gone to China in the last 2 weeks. Then we have all these people in California. We have one source who is sick, who has had no contact with anybody from China or been to China themselves, which is freaking the people out. I think they put 8,600 people under observation for potential infection because this lady went to the hospital and said, I think, they wanted to test her for the virus, but the local states didn't have the ability to test, and the CDC said, no, we're not going to bother. 2 weeks later, she came back to the hospital, much worse, and they tested her then. The CDC said, okay, we'll test her now, and turned out she did have the virus. The whole time she was spreading it. And my point here is that the U.S. is completely fucking incompetent when it comes to what's going on right now. And I think when I made the previous video, there was 3,000 people infected and 40 dead. And now it's 82,000 people infected and 3,000 dead. And just the other day, the line crossed to where there's more deaths outside China than in China. And that's something people should really be paying attention to. And I know a lot of people like to point the fingers at China and say they're lying. Oh, they lied and they should have told us sooner. That's exactly what's happening right now in our country. China delayed releasing information on this because they were afraid of looking bad. And that's exactly what Trump is doing right now. It's an election year. Nobody wants to look bad. In the last week, the stock market has begun to crash hard. This morning, if you're not aware of this, the stock market has dropped worse than it has since the 2008 financial crisis. And people are really trying to keep a lid on that because they don't want people to panic and worry. Because people, let me just put it, the institutions in place in this country, whether it's politicians or corporations, are more concerned with business as usual and making their money than they are actually preparing people for what might happen. So when they say China lied, I'd say so are we. The CDC sent, there was a plane load of people who came back from Wuhan, China, into California. I'm sure you've seen it. Those people were met not with CDC officials, but with Health and Human Services people who didn't even have the protective gear. A whistleblower just released that this morning. The people who were picking up the people and supposed to meet them at the airport, the people that may have infections, they didn't even have the right protective gear themselves. I mean, shame on our government for the incompetence, but Trump went up on stage the other day and he said, all the Democrats are arguing and being crazy on stage. He actually blamed the falling stock market on the Democrats arguing on stage. And I thought, this is not a time for politics. This is a time to be honest and straightforward and let the people know. Because a lot of people really do trust the president, unfortunately. But for those who do, they're going to be awfully discouraged when they find out that it's not business as usual. Because in 1918, when the flu pandemic hit here, we shut down schools and businesses all around the country, and it was very damaging to business. And this is before we were flying in jets and airplanes around the world. So, but fortunately, at least one bright side of, Trump's ignorance on this is that he said he was going to put Mike Pence in charge of the coronavirus. So I'm feeling really good about that because I know Mike Pence is such a great, intelligent dude who knows so much about, science and the human body and biology that, thank God we put somebody that's totally competent in charge of these things. It's great. So the CDC is no hero in this case. I'm not going to say, I'm going to say I'm glad we have one, but people need to be aware of themselves, protecting themselves. Only 12 states right now have their own testing available for the coronavirus. And you would think that the CDC would be pushing hard to make sure all the states are able to test for these things. But hey, it's an election year. What can you say? So I don't trust the media, but I don't trust the government. And I know that everybody wants to put it this way. The media wants to blow everything out of proportion so you watch their bullshit. The YouTubers out there talking about this are taking full advantage. The people selling products to you are taking full advantage. There's one guy who said, I made a video about this and my views went up, and so all of a sudden that's all they talk about. There was one guy who did a channel about something about prosperity, and he talked about finances. And then he did one video talking about how the coronavirus might impact the economy. And all of a sudden it got all these views because people are curious. So now every single video this guy makes is related to the coronavirus. Is there any new information? No, it's the same old shit. Puts some crazy background music and a bunch of scary pictures. Most likely you're going to be fine. Most of us are not going to die from the coronavirus. This is all about being aware of the social impact as well as the financial impact, the economy. One sad note is that in 2018, the Trump administration slashed the overseas pandemic prevention. There was an overseas pandemic prevention group that operated in 46 countries, and he decided to slash the budget by 80%, and now we only operate in 10 countries. And on top of that, they cut $15 billion in healthcare authority spending and completely axed the complex crisis management fund. In other words, a lot of these, cuts that we're trying to make it look like the economy is doing well are the cuts that are going to help people like you and me. It's like cutting veteran benefits or cutting Medicare, the same kind of shit. Didn't want to make it political, but I believe this administration is totally incompetent to what's going on. And if you're listening to the government to give you information, do not do that because you're fooling yourself. But also realize that the media is trying to make a buck, and a lot of YouTubers are trying to make a buck. So my intention here is just to inform you and to give my opinion on it. There are people selling masks, a 10-pack of masks for $5,000. Just think about that. The same 10-pack I can buy for about $20 any other time of the year. And then there are people selling this shit like the MMS solution, if you've heard of that, the miracle mineral solution people are taking, which is basically eating bleach. There's a lot of nonsense in the new age healthcare industry, and it's really shameful. So don't think that you can take something that's going to keep you from getting sick. If you do, at least go with traditional medicines that have a scientific history. And the only one I can think of is this right here. Chaga mushroom. Chaga has to protect itself against viruses and bacteria out in nature. Mushrooms have a well-known history of efficacy in boosting the immune system. But recent research on chaga mushroom has shown that It can actually be an antiviral. It has shown to fight HIV as well as the herpes virus. So this is one of the things that might actually work. So get a hold of some chaga if you want. I mean, take some capsules or whatnot. I'm not going to promote my own because I honestly don't have that much for sale. I have it on my website, but I also sell like reishi, but I don't sell those as antivirals. I took them and I did a lot of research about a year and a half, 2 years ago. Well, actually, it was a few years ago during another bad flu outbreak, and I decided to make this flu blend that I thought would help people. Maybe it was the swine flu. I don't even remember, but it was all these different. It was like, reishi and chaga and ashwagandha and rhodiola extract and all these different compounds that I'd researched that may have potential antiviral benefits. So if you want a list of those, let me know. But chaga, I think, is a great addition. The beauty of this is it's not something you have to put in a capsule. You can just put it in your coffee. It just kind of tastes like a malty beverage, but I'm not going to say it's going to do anything. I'm not going to say anything is going to help us beat this except for being aware and really realizing the biggest impact will probably be the economy, not our personal health. So that's about all I got. I could ramble on forever, but I won't. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to y'all later. Let me know what you think, and don't be fearful of it. Just wash your hands. Don't touch your mouth. Use simple, common sense techniques to prevent illness, and you should be fine. But it doesn't mean that your kid's school won't shut down and they'll be out of school for a month and you'll have to find a sitter or be home with them. There are a lot more complex issues, and I guess that's what it comes down to. The economic impact, and that can be much worse than the actual health impact. Take care, my friends. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful day. Thanks to my patrons. If you want any more videos like this or random shit, then hit that subscribe button and I'll talk about all kinds of crap because that's what I do. That's what I've been doing. That's what I probably will keep doing. Be well.